Hello world, Cordorio here. This is part 4 of my first time discussion, recollection I should say. So at the end of the last video I just got done talking about how, deep throating is not a skill of mine that I've mastered just yet. um, yeah, really close to being a horrible moment in my life. But it was fun. I mean, subtract that part, and giving giving a blowjob was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. It was fun. It, it was the equivalent to me to going down on a girl. Just a little bit different, but just as much fun. Just as enjoyable. So there's that. Um, then we move on to the next portion, which is like the 4 positions we have to go through. So we start doing that, and that hurt a lot. Like at the beginning, it hurt so much, and like I was actively trying to pull myself away from it. Um, and he was actively like thrusting into me and pulling me back, and it was just like and like Omar's up there in the camera, like come on, Cora, look at the camera, like kind of, like not saying it because he doesn't want to be heard on the thing, but kind of like I can see his leg or his hand like waving, like look over here, look at the camera, come on, and I'm just like I can't look at anything. I didn't say this at all, but it was like the the noises and stuff that I'm making, they're very real noises and stuff I'm making. Like I'm not acting there. It's just like I can't look at anybody right now. This is painful. I'm trying to get over this. I think if I can get over this hump, I'll be able to like perform again. So it took a little bit. It took like 30 seconds to a minute of like actively doing that stuff, and they didn't even film a lot of it. Like it was a bit of not filming. It was just like kind of getting used to everything before it started to actually not hurt as much anymore. Where I think all that back there, like it stopped hurting as much, and it became actually enjoyable after a while. And like I don't know when the turn happened, but and there's always a little bit of pain, but there's a difference. Like there's painful pleasure, and then there's just painful pain. And definitely in the very beginning, it was painful pain, without a doubt, and it was just almost unbearable. It was quite near unbearable. And then a certain point was hit, and it became a painful pleasure, and a really, really good one. And then it was just like when that happened, when that point was reached, it was just like, all right, all bets are off. I'm just gonna like go wild on this thing now, and hopefully everybody just enjoys watching me go. I mean, that's what you're watching me for, is to see Cora Del Rio, attack a cock like a good girl, I guess. I don't know. It's just those words feel so alien to me to say still. um, so you know, so I did that, and it became really good. And my favorite position out of the 4 was definitely the cowboy one for sure. The cowgirl, the cowgirl. I don't know. It was almost doggy style was a lot of fun, and um, my only complaint with that one is that my co-star didn't spank me enough. Like I wanted to be spanked a lot more throughout the whole thing. But I got a couple good ones from him, and then it's just like, oh, okay, this isn't gonna happen with you, is it? So, you know, I don't know how to like correct. It was my first time, so I was kind of awkward. I didn't know how to communicate a lot of the stuff. So, you know, but I don't think that held us back at all because it was still a lot of fun, and it's obviously the best sex I've ever had with a guy, because actually the only sex I've ever had with a guy. So, you know, but cowgirl was probably my favorite position because when I was younger and I first was introduced to sex with one of my girlfriends, um, that was like the position that I always fascinated me the most. And when you're somebody like me, when you're transgender, um, you kind of live vicariously through your girlfriend. If you get a girlfriend, you're living vicariously through her, and like especially if you don't know you're transgender yet, you just know that you're different, then you just you kind of try to find ways to abate this like feeling of incompleteness, um, of need for something that you don't know what it is. And so that was always my favorite thing, was watching my girlfriend in the cowgirl position. And I always put myself in her spot, and I was like, oh my gosh, it looks like it's perfect. It's exactly where I want to be. And but I couldn't, so I just had to live it through her. And it never dawned on me what that was really saying about what I was, who I was. But back then, they don't tell you, like, they don't. I didn't learn what the word transgender was until I was 23, like 3 weeks before I turned 24, right before transitioning. I didn't know what transgender was, and here I grew up with a sister and brother who were both in the LGBT community, and I never knew what the T meant. So, you know, they don't tell they don't tell girls like us, and the opposite, boys like us, um, what it is when we're young. We either just figure it out ourselves and demand it, or we figure it out later and we do something about it. And I just happen to be one of those people who figured it out later. But I think like what I was getting at is when I was in the cowgirl position, it felt like something in my life had just been realized, that I had a moment. I'd say like, hey, I recognize this, I've seen this, and now that I'm doing it, it just feels so right. And um, it was completing. Um, I was happy not to be the one filling somebody. I was happy that I was being one filled. I don't I don't know how to say it any way differently. There's a difference between being the one who accepts and is completed than being the one who gives and is completing. Um, so it was an amazing moment for me, and I definitely knew what to do from how closely I watched. Like, I worked them hips so good, and I grinded so hard at a certain point, and it was so good. Oh my gosh. It got to a certain point in the shoot where I had to just, like, ask. I was like, we gotta stop, because I'm about to, like, just explode right here, and it's gonna be bad. So, yeah, that was probably my favorite position. My least favorite one was, I honestly liked them all. There wasn't any least favorite one. Um, oh, I don't know. There's not much else to say. I mean, after that point, I really got into it, and I really enjoyed it a lot. And I came, so it's pretty hardcore, and a couple times because this long on hormones, my orgasms have changed. I don't I don't definitively have when I have an orgasm, it's not definitively a projectile one through your penis or anything like that. My orgasms, they have different levels to them, and while I was doing that, I've had a few just like body ones where it's just like, oh my god, my body is shaking, I can't handle anything, everything feels good, like those ones. And then I they're different. Like, I don't get the explosion ones from there, unless I'm actively like pursuing it physically, and usually I don't do that kind of thing. Um, Here, I'm gonna stop the video right here. And the last video is just gonna be like a wrap up and some more deeper thoughts on the matter. So I'll see you there.